Hogwarts Legacy has me worried, but probably not for the reason you're thinking. You ready to go to Hogwarts? You got your letter? With the new release of Hogwarts Legacy, there are mountains of speculation, rumours and theories floating around, which makes sense. We gotta keep ourselves busy until December, right? So naturally we fall down a rabbit hole of mixed information.
Who are you?
Plenty of great stuff out there regarding the gameplay elements, but that's not what's got me skeptical. In fact, I don't think the game itself will be an issue. In my opinion, I don't think this will be a game. I think it will be a full-blown experience. It's the legacy part of Hogwarts Legacy that I'm not fully confident in. To clarify, there are a few others that have touched on aspects of this, and I just want to say before we get into it that I'm by no means an expert. I've probably missed things, so feel free to call me out on anything or just add to the discussion. So the big question that leads this all: why 1890? While there's talk on the cobbled streets that this time period could be more generic to the 1800s and the varying events that take place during that time, like the one we're aware of surrounding the Goblin Rebellion, it seems awfully close to a certain calm/angry someone's timeline at the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Harry, did you put your mother name in the goddamn cabinet?
Yes, I'm referring to Mrs. Norris. I'm kidding, it's Dumbledore. But wait, how old is Mrs. Norris? Now this was squashed pretty quickly by the creators. They are very adamant that Hogwarts Legacy will stay far away from the canon characters of Harry Potter. I believe that even though this is a good approach, it's also a very fine and dangerous line, which I'll circle back to in a little bit. First, let's pick this apart slightly by using the trilogy theory. It's not really a crazy notion to believe that this game is the first of three. The game has had an immense amount of work and time put into it alongside huge, well thought out marketing and hype. The fact that you start as a 5th year would give the character 3 years of schooling at Hogwarts, so the concept of having an encompassing storyline that spans over multiple games, each one following a similar format where they get slightly darker each time, would be a good plan and refer back to the legacy, which, I'm sure you'll agree, I'm completely here for. Now you probably know where I'm going with this in regards to the overarching story. Another point that I want to showcase is our character being mislabeled as a squib. Audiences were introduced to this in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which also heavily involves our Dumbledore, and Legacy has heavy emphasis on magical creatures within the game too, an important note. Could be a coincidence, but I'm willing to bet that it will be mentioned or lead into this to some degree, even if the creators are denying so. But it's also a detrimentally bad thing if what they're saying is true, and it's completely stricken from the narrative. Here is where we use Hermione's time turner and circle back to my earlier comment about not having any connection to original characters or plot lines we're super familiar with, even though I couldn't care less about Dumbledore or Fantastic Beasts really, especially the newer ones.
No offense, but I really don't care.
Go on, use the Cruciatus curse on me, I can take it. So why is this the case? Hogwarts Legacy needs to acknowledge or slightly link or even overlap into future happenings in order to be somewhat grounded, otherwise it may risk feeling like a completely different world. However, if it does it too much and leans, say, into Dumbledore as we discussed, it loses its appeal of separation, which a lot of people quite rightly want, especially from you-know-who. It will have to be done subtly with small nods or Easter eggs, not golden eggs, because there's nothing subtle about them. And if they do decide to show Dumbledore or anything remotely hinting to his or Harry's timeline, I would prefer they gradually do this towards the end of the 3rd game release, in a way that doesn't take away from the main plot of Hogwarts Legacy. The reason I feel this way about having some form of small connections is because it can have an effect on the overall project. Take the newer Star Wars movies, for example, moving further and further away until it becomes kind of unrecognisable. I'm not saying it can't deviate and be its own thing, but it needs also to not ignore where it comes from. It exists in the same world, and I'm pretty sure the gameplay inside Hogwarts itself will do just that. I want you to hit the subscribe button.
You're despicable.
I feel strongly that Slytherin House will play a rather important role within that so-called legacy and these games. Many others also believe this to be the case, with the amount of trailer content showing lots of creatures, particularly dragons, and we know students of Slytherin's affinity for serpents and reptilians, like the basilisk, possibly a key element to our character's journey. This also makes a lot of sense because the creators have made it clear that this game is very inclusive of everyone. Does this mean that they could be aiming to reconstruct our idea of the Slytherin stereotype and show that regardless of your house strengths or weaknesses, that absolutely anyone has the potential to be a hero? I sure hope so. It would be nice to see a change in perspective. So are we being misled? I worry we're being sold a beautiful idea. Is it being portrayed in a way that might not entirely be true? Will it be what we think it to be? Not that it won't necessarily be good, if you get where I'm coming from. We could argue that what we've seen so far is very positive. Agreed. Everything looks phenomenal. However, good marketing doesn't equate or guarantee a good product. I mean, we all remember what happened with Suicide Squad. And then there's Dead Island. But I have to applaud them. They do seem to be really taking their audience into consideration with all the decisions they've made thus far. In terms of queries revolving around how much lessons and schoolwork will be part of the game, like exams, relationships, and even multiplayer, the first two are likely given the tone that the developers have gone for, but the multiplayer, though very interesting, a lot of people feel it's more personal and relaxing to play single player. So I believe, especially with their ASMR and ambient themed videos, brilliant on their part by the way,
Bloody brilliant.
that this is the direction the creators have chosen, focusing on the majority of what the fan base enjoy, in favour to be more on the atmospheric side. Could it be a drawback? What's better than going to Hogwarts? Going to Hogwarts with your friends. But an online co-op environment could be something that can come later down the line, if it still makes sense, of course. The creators of Hogwarts Legacy have shown they're capable of providing when it comes to the gameplay. So should I trust that they'll do the same for the story? Recently, 2 new clips have been released. The first, an artistic looking piece that points to the importance of divination. We know that Merlin's statue is down in the chamber with the basilisk. Hey, you know who else looks like Merlin? But also the second clip is of a statue who seems like she might be missing her sword. And if we're going down the Merlin route, could she be guarding something? Is she Morgana? Or is she a Lady of the Lake type character? And just to throw it out there, could the weapon she's missing be Godric's sword of Gryffindor? The same sword we first laid eyes on in the Chamber of Secrets, the same sword that alludes to Excalibur when Harry broke through the ice in the Deathly Hallows, and the same sword that seems to be the only relic that wasn't turned into a Horcrux. And then does it all join together to explain the history of what went down between Gryffindors and Slytherins? Oh, I need to breathe for a second. They need to stop putting out new stuff because this video is getting ridiculous. Honestly, there's so much, and there's so many ways this could go. Who's to say at this stage? I am just a mere muggle, at least until the game comes out. And apparently as I'm making this, they're saying the game may be delayed. We may have to wait till next year. So, no post for us.
No.
And if it's crap, we'll be like, thanks for listening. Direct your owl mail down below with your thoughts. And as the old saying goes, goodbye. Or in this case, mischief managed. Interested in wizards? I'm willing to bet you're also interested in wizard robots and magical cats. Well, actually, I don't know if they are wizard robots or magical cats. I haven't actually played the game yet, but now you're gonna have to find out, aren't you?